Yeah, welcome to our special here, 94.7 The Pulse. This is the fishing show, but this is one of our podcast specials. As you go through on our podcast and our website through 947thepulse.com.au, you will find these specials come up from time to time. This one is all on the super trawlers, and of course we will, in a few moments' time, be chatting away to a few different people discussing what's going on with the super trawler in Tasmania and just what sort of damage it will do. For all the best in weedless technology and standard everyday jig heads, log on to thejigman.com.au and find out where your local stockist is.
And if you can't jag it, jig it.
Boatcatch, the revolutionary launch and retrieve system. Website is allthews.boatcatch.com.
We're currently talking to Tasmanian Green Senator Peter Whish-Wilson. Good morning, Peter. Welcome to the program.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Yeah, excellent this morning, mate. Now, listen, I was just having a bit of a chat to you off air, and we were talking about it just a few moments ago. It's a pretty significant thing, especially for us here at the fishing show. The whole green side of things versus the wreck fish show side of things has always been something that is generally met with a certain amount of hostility. But right here and now, we're sitting here talking about fighting for exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. Look, I think there's a lot of nonsense and politics involved in this over the years, particularly when you look at issues like marine protected areas. But I think conservationists and fishermen, they're pretty much the same thing. And I know a lot of fishermen who are big into conservation, and the simple thing is they want plenty of fish to fish in 5-10 years' time. So I think we're all on the same page. But unfortunately, quite often that gets lost in the cut and thrust of politics.
One struck with crayon, the other one struck with pen.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way it works. Now, I'll put you over to Barry Tanner and to discuss basically something that's quite significant for you people in Tasmania, and that's the super trawler.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, good morning, Peter. Thanks for coming on this morning. I've been doing a lot of talking with Nobby Clark, who you know well down there from the Tuna Club of Tasmania, and he's the actual one that he spoke to me originally and got me stirred up on this, and I started looking into it, and so that's the idea of this show that we're doing now, that we sort of advise people on what exactly happening over here in Victoria, because we tend to miss a lot of things that happen around in Tasmania. And so far what we've sort of come up with a lot of our discussions is the big issue now seems to be the localised depletion of this red bait, which is so critical to the tuna fishery. Yeah,
that's right. And I think speaking to Nobby and other wreck fishing groups, they've been talking about this for months now, and they've been asking the government to explain how a boat this size won't cause, or at least won't pose a risk to the local fish depletion, and they haven't had any answers, and this is sort of where we've got involved. Your conservation groups have got involved as well. We've got similar concerns. It's not just wreck fishing, there's also a lot of ecosystem impacts that are really important as well. And look, I don't think the answers have been provided, and maybe they haven't even been properly researched yet. That's certainly the feeling we're getting. I've put a number of questions to the minister over the last 2 months, asking for direct answers on some of these questions that Nobby and his mates have been asking as well. And so far nothing's been forthcoming. So it's a little surprising that people are concerned about this. And I think it's pretty obvious to me. You bring a boat this size with its reputation, and it's, look, let's be totally upfront about it. It's everywhere it's fished around the world, it's caused controversy. You bring a boat like that into Australian waters, and you're talking about a totally different way of fishing. And, I would have expected that the government and the proponents of this project, would have had all the answers and the data available to try and, alleviate people's concerns. But that just hasn't been the case.
Yeah. The thing, I noticed that you had sent those questions off to Mr. Ludwig. He's the federal Minister there for Fisheries and Forestry and all that, up there in Canberra. So you haven't had a reply back from him at all on those questions that you did put to him?
Not yet. It's a bit of a tricky system. They generally have up to 30 days to respond. So the first set of questions would be looking at getting a response probably next week. Yep. And that was all about the AFMA process. Like how long has the minister known about the potential arrival of this boat? Has there been any discussions with the minister, etc., about the actual allocation process for the quota? That's the first set of questions, and the second one were all about the science on the back of the wreck fishes and other concerns on local depletion, and we'll probably get them in a few weeks' time. Yeah. And if he's a bit late, then I'll be on his tail. That's about that.
That's good. Now, apparently, it's going to operate out of Devonport.
Yeah.
Last night we had a meeting, and it was mentioned a meeting here we had in Victoria on another subject on the southern bluefin tuna, and it was mentioned about Portland and also the port of Melbourne. Have you heard anything on that at all?
No, I haven't. I think in terms of sea fish, it'd be interesting to ask them that question, Barry. Look, I think the idea was that they were going to create employment in Tasmania, and that's one of the big things they've been pushing locally. Is that there's potential to create jobs here, and of course we need jobs in Tassie, so that's a pretty big thing if they're going to be looking at maybe bashing the ship over the port, or at least offloading their cargo there, because they're also talking about using the fish that they're going to catch for various products as well, and processing them, downstream processing in Tassie. So I'd certainly like to know more about that, and I'll look into it.
Yep. Well, it'll have to be done fairly quickly, because I believe the boat's on its way, and I know I was tracking it and some other people were tracking it, but apparently now it must have its AIS turned off, or its transponder turned off, and we're unable to tell where it is, which is sort of, it's a bit of hide and seek, I think, going on at the moment.
We had a phone call saying they believed it may have been in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm not sure whether that's true or not.
I think we'd all be pretty happy if that was the case.
But I mean, when you have a look at some of the figures that are being released at the moment, 36 million kilograms as a quota. I can't even fathom the figure itself, let alone the fact that it's going to be boxes full of fish that are going into there. And, I mean, for you yourself, Peter, well, first, do you actually fish? I mean, do you get out there and have a crack at this stuff and to experience that difference? I mean, we're going from going out, spending a couple of $100 going game fishing for the day and getting some really nice fish, and then going out the next day and spending a couple of $100 for absolutely nothing, and then continuing that for a larger period of time.
Yeah, look, firstly, I do fish. We've got a little shack down the east coast of Tassie, and I take my little boy fishing all the time. But saying that, I'm pretty crap fisherman. I usually end up catching the odd flathead here and there.
Mate, we're only as good as we tell everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty honest about that. My mate next door's got a boat, and we go out. Most good mornings, we go out and catch fish, and I eat fish, and I've got absolutely no problems with sustainable fishing. You mentioned earlier about conservationists and fishermen getting together, but I think a lot of fishermen that I know are conservation.
Yeah,
they are pretty responsible. I mean, of course, you do get the odd exception, but and I think it's a really good opportunity for conservationists and fishermen to. And I know there's been a lot of discussion going on and lots of talking, and I think that's a really positive thing. To build relationships. So I think we're once again, as I mentioned earlier, we're all on the same page here. We all want to see fish stocks around for our kids.
It's nice to hear birds in the background too.
Yeah, well, I'm on a surfing trip with my kids. I'm up north coast in New South Wales.
Is it true you're the national president of the Surf Riders Association?
Yeah, which is interesting because there's like fishermen. There's a couple of million surfers around the country, and they're a real varied bunch. They come from all sorts of different backgrounds, and I've been on the national board of a big group of it's a marine conservation group, but we focus a lot on marine pollution issues like plastics in the ocean and stuff like that. So I've been doing this sort of thing for years, and look, just to totally upfront about it, my best moments have been spent on the sea, over my wife, and it's the same reason I'm taking my kids on a surf trip now. I love the ocean and everything about it. So
just don't take them over to Western Australia.
There's no politics in that, boys. It's just the way it is.
Yes, that's right.
No,
that's
fantastic.
good.
A lot of
fantastic.
feel the same way.
Yeah.
In fact, Nobby's he's pretty well connected in the surfing fraternity down in Tassie, and he's got a lot of those guys involved. And you saw Kelly Slater, the world champ, 11 times world champ. He's been tweeting about the super trawler over in California. So,
nice.
It helps when you do get a varied bunch of people together on an issue like this.
Yeah. We have had stuff sent to us over the last couple of weeks while we've been preparing for this about whole countries that have had their waterways completely cleaned out and decimated by these boats. I got to be honest. Do people in government or people in the deciding part of what goes on with these super trawlers being accepted, do they actually look at this information, or they just take it on a mate whose mate's son's going to get a job?
It's a really good question. I think, though, from my discussions that I've had with the Fisheries Minister and the AFMA, the scientists involved in this, they say that those fisheries aren't managed the same way as Australia, and that the Australian fisheries are world's best practice. So they do, in a way, they do tend to dismiss those concerns because they say we do things differently here.
But at the end of the day, all you're really doing is making sure you fill the net quicker. I mean, if our fisheries are managed better, we're just going to fill the net quicker.
Exactly. Look, I've been really careful here not to kick any scientists, because a lot of my mates sitting over at Hobart, they're all surfers as well. They're all good people.
Yep.
But I think a really obvious point is we've had a lot of fisheries over the years that we've well managed, and we've had the best science and the best intentions. But they've still, they've been overfished, and they've still gone into collapse because there's a lot of stuff we don't understand.
Yeah,
that's
right.
right.
And I think, we've just got to be fairly careful here and go on what we call the precautionary principle, and ensure the risks are assessed before you bring massive boats like this that we know absolutely have the capability to deplete fish in local areas.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And I don't understand why people seem so offended or so combative about this. I think it's just logical that you want to know the risks.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks very much for that. It was very great to talk to you this morning and your insight into it. And keep up the good work. And hope you improve with your fishing in the future.
Yeah, no worries.
And just want
to know you guys better. I'm sure I will.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time this morning, and all the best.
All right, guys.
Thank you, Peter. When you're down Geelong way, pop into the station, mate. We'll have you on air. Do the show on a Saturday morning.
That'll be fantastic. All right.
Thank you, Peter. See you, mate.
See you. Bye.
There's Peter Whish-Wilson, who's the Tasmanian Greens Senator. And I suppose a little bit of breath of fresh air to actually hear a bloke that goes fishing that's a Green.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Hey?
It was interesting.
It's a change.
And surfing.
And surfing.
Oh,
you know what, though?
Oh, no, here we go.
You know what? if he was standing in a crowd of green people, right, all wearing green shirts, he would be the only one I've ever met in orange.
He'd be the bloke getting pushed to the back.
Yes. Yep, he'd be getting sent to the back. But anyway, listen, that's our rundown on the Super Trawler, and there's a ton of information available. You can log on to websites across the board, and under names like Plunder the Pacific, and there's a whole series of stuff. But by all means, get online, have a look, check it out, read some of the statistics. I mean, we can't go through them all on here, but it's absolutely massive stuff. Now, this podcast program, if you'd like to hear more of these styles of programs, go onto our podcast. By all means, go to the Facebook page, the Geelong Fishing Show, and press like and leave a little info thing on there.
Yeah, let us know.
And have a look at some of the really stupid pictures that we put up there and comments and stuff like that. Check it all out. It's a lot of fun. Thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed it this morning. Thank you, guys. And Barry. And, of course, keep your ears on 94.7 The Pulse. Listen to what's coming up.